Remember when you were a child? You probably had lots of dreams, not true? Dreams of buying a nice car, having a nice house, and being the best doctor, teacher, or nurse. I loved playing with gigs, and I had big dreams of becoming a journalist. I've been able to fulfill some of my dreams, and I invite every adult to help our children fulfill their own dreams. Let's resolve to create a Jamaica where every child can live up to their full potential. Hello, I'm Arroyo, and this is Jamaica Magazine. As we continue to observe Child Month, we'll examine the government's drive to ensure every child is protected.
One of the issues that are coming forward, and it's now at Cabinet, is a child diversion policy, because we recognize that a large number of cases before the formal court system are children who are under 18 years old. 30% of our population is under 18.
It promises to be an informative show, so don't go anywhere.
Jamaicans! For Labor Day this year, we will work together for the children. That's right. In every community, let's show them that we care. By creating and upgrading public spaces, so our children can feel safe. To play, have fun, and bond together. So come on, Jamaica, let's work together. It's a labor of love, nurturing our children. This Labor Day, May 25th.
Efforts are being made to ensure that cases relating to violence against children will be afforded priority scheduling and disposal in the courts.
Far too many of our children are being neglected, abandoned, and sexually assaulted. This culture of children being left alone, children fending for themselves, needs to stop. And government is moving to impose harsher penalties for offenders. More on that from Youth Minister Lisa Hanna.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we want to talk about our children in crisis, the responses that we ought to make at this time. We have with us the Minister of Youth and Culture, the Honorable Lisa Hanna. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to have you on Issues and Answers. Always a delight to talk with you. So we have the serious issue of the problems confronting our children. My first question is, what is the government doing in terms of legislation to ensure that its response is adequate to the crisis?
Well, let us look at the context of the situation. There are several ministries that have the responsibility for dealing with children. There is the Ministry of Youth and Culture, there is National Security, Justice, Labour and Social Security, there's Health, there's Education. What I do is I chair an interministerial committee for the past 2.5 years that brought the ministries and agencies together so that we were not operating essentially in silos and we were working together. There are significant steps that have been addressed since we took office, separating children from adults in correctional facilities. The Safe School program has reduced the number of violent conflicts in schools by 50%. We have rescued over 25 girls from child trafficking and made several arrests. We've increased the number of mechanisms for people to report abuse. We've reduced the number of children that have gone missing last year by 10%, and we've returned 9 out of every 10 children who have gone missing. So there's a number of things across the board in terms of programs. Legislatively, there's a Child Care and Protection Act. There's the Offences of the Persons Act, there is a Sexual Offences Act, there's a number of legislation that deal with the best interest of children and has very harsh penalties for people who abuse children. So if a child is raped or if a woman is raped, you can even be sentenced up to life. What we're finding though is as the system gets more difficult, we have had to start revising some of these issues. So one of the issues that are coming forward, and it's now at Cabinet, is a child diversion policy, because we recognize that a large number of cases before the formal court system are children who are under 18 years old. 30% of our population is under 18. So what the Ministry of Justice has done is we now are going to be implementing a child diversion policy to keep these persons. Well, simply to keep the children out of the formal court system. You'll have 13-year-olds who destroy property or probably wound with intent, uncontrollable behavior. So what we're doing is setting up parish committees with care plans so that these children can go before those committees instead, and that there is a better approach in working with that child to resolve the issue with
a more rehabilitative, approach,
restorative,
therapeutic,
in the best interest of the child approach. What you're also going to see is, because of the Prime Minister's agreement that there needs to be harsher sanctions on parents, because remember, you know, parents, a failure to report or a parent putting a child in harm's way, whether by negligence or for care and protection, can be charged. And
right now,
under the law. But what we are going to be doing, there's going to be tougher sanctions. So what you could possibly see is that if a child is even loitering on the road after particular hours,
a parent will be held responsible.
A parent or guardian can be held responsible. So those new policies are also being drafted.
If a child of, say, 14 is living with a man,
woe be unto the parent.
Parent would...
Woe be unto the parent, the guardian, and the man that the child is living with. And the people who actually know in the community.
Even the people in the community?
Even the people. If the people
could reach...
Even the people who know in the community and fail to report that the child was there will be liable and charged.
It will be that serious?
It will be that serious. And that exists now. That exists now. That is why it's not to say, when I got up in my sectoral and said, look, this is not only the government's responsibility, it is everybody's responsibility. And you can't blame poverty, because you have children coming out of very poor circumstances. It's really the choices you make. People have to realize is that there are a number of things that are already in place. What has to happen is a subverting of the current socio-cultural mix that exists, where people are not taking responsibility for protecting children in the communities, in the families, and feeling that the quantity of children that you have are what is sufficient to define your validity. So, and that's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. It's not how much youth you get. We're geared the stripe. It's how you take care of your youth them. And, you know, a mother, and what's clear to us, and this is not my emotive response and just a campaign speech, our clinical psychologists in the CDA, we've seen over 2,000 children last year who come into state care in our children's homes and places of safety. And they're saying to us, look, we're seeing serious problems because of the generational breakdown of the family structure.
I want to take a break. Minister of Youth and Culture, Lisa Hanna, speaking passionately about children's issues and telling us of some possible strengthening of existing legislation. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
Parents nowadays don't know if they school them pitney. Then school them pitney and tell them how they ugly, that fit up. Tell them how they look like they ugly pooper, that fit up. Tell them how they head dry like a coconut brush, that fit up. Tell them how they not come out to nothing good, that fit up.
Yes, children are precious gifts from God and are our heritage. Parents, guardians, stop abusing them. Speak life and healing into every child's life, and let us play a positive role in shaping and molding the next generation.
Today we focus on our children. We have with us the Minister of Youth and Culture, the Honorable Lisa Hanna. There are things that we as a society need to do. what are some of the most critical things, Minister, you would suggest that we do now?
Well, the first, I think we've admitted that there is a problem as a society. I just don't think that the knee-jerk reaction every time you read the newspapers is going to be the thing to solve it. There have been significant strides, but I think it's being overshadowed now by this cultural breakdown, as I was saying before. Families need to take a stock of those things that are really important to a child, and we can start individually. Children need time, they need to feel loved, they need to feel protected, they need to feel that if they fall backwards with their eyes closed, that you as a parent or the guardian is going to catch them. The young girl doesn't need to feel that she has to be fighting off her mother's boyfriend and that she can't trust the mother if she tells her. The mother or the father can't feel that if you have 6 children for 6 different men and the father as well for 6 different women, that is going to be in the best interest of the family. Because what we're seeing now and what the clinical psychologists are saying to us is that, look, these children are speaking about it. They are parentifying themselves, where they now have the burden of taking care of the other siblings when they come home, so they can't do extracurricular activities at school. They resent it. They have to wash, cook, clean. They have to go out and earn their lunch money and work on the street sometimes late at night. And it's acting out in other ways, particularly if they have a single parent and the parent gets ill and they have to take care of the parent plus go to school. So I think the society also needs to have a wake-up call. We keep talking about values and attitudes. Jamaicans know what the right value system is, you know. We do. But it's just a matter of implementing it. And I think all need to be on board. I think the artists need to be on board, or musicians need to be on board. All stakeholders need to be on board and start having these courageous conversations. When I spoke about being connected, it's not only being connected in terms of technology, it's being connected in terms of a human family. I am in government because I really want to help solve the problem. But each of us have to be able to get connected with what is happening in the society. If I know my domestic work at home has a family of young children, don't keep her there until 5 o'clock in the evening, right? Have a situation where she's able to go home and spend time with her young children. Even if she's a live-in, make sure that the child or her young children can come. These are some of the social consciousness that we have to get back to as a family, because the grandparents are also saying, look, calling us at the CDA and saying, look, we can't take care of them anymore. My daughter left this one and went away. They call them the barrel children. We can't manage them as adolescents. We can't deal with them. We have situations where a lot of our children need to be assessed mentally. Over half of our population in the state care homes have some kind of depression. They have either slight autism, they have bipolar disorder, some of them have suicidal ideations. This is not something that happened overnight. This either has been because of post-traumatic stress, and what the psychologists are saying is that when you see a child acting out, another thing we've reviewed is removing the uncontrollable behavior label, because a child could have been locked up for acting out if they're deemed uncontrollable. It's not fair to the child. My child and your child, we could probably sit down and say, look, you need some counseling. Tell us what's really happening. In other situations, the mother carts the child off to the police station because she probably have more at home.
That's right.
And she just say, look, I don't have, it's convenient, I can't manage you. So we're also putting in place a system where we have a place in every parish, we're working on that this year, to be able to give therapy and therapeutic intervention on top of our child guidance clinics, and also working with our systems to put a therapeutic center in place for children, because we don't have one.
And Minister, will your ministry be taking a more activist, a publicly activist role in lobbying for children, in raising consciousness about children's issues?
Yeah, because one of the decisions that we are very, very clear on is having that courageous conversation now. The time has come to expose it, and I should also mention to you that the Prime Minister is very, very clear, and she's going to be leading that charge. Yes.
The Prime Minister herself?
The Prime Minister is leading this charge and leading it on behalf of the government.
And we should see her in public forum?
You're going to see her in public forum. You're seeing her the first time on May 28th.
Prime Minister will be doing
in
a forum
Clarendon,
in
because we're
Clarendon.
also going to be in those areas that are the hotspot areas. Westmoreland, Hanover. Hanover is now the #1 in terms of teenage pregnancy. You're going to see her in St. Thomas. You're going to see her in St. Catherine, Kingston and St. Andrew. Because
Speaking about children's issues.
Speaking about
Prime Minister
children's,
herself.
yes,
Yeah.
and having the courageous conversation to say, look, this cannot continue. The government, here's what the government is doing and has done to arrest the development and protect our children. But you have your responsibility to play as well. We have several policies, several programs, but big man, you can't be raping the little girls. I don't know, Ian, if you've realized that several of the children who have been murdered have been pregnant.
Absolutely, yes.
The girls?
Yes.
And the women, some of the women who have been found dead have been pregnant.
Yes, they've turned up pregnant.
Thank you.
Yes.
So there is an underbelly that we have to confront as a country, and it doesn't look good internationally either.
Yes. Minister of Youth and Culture, speaking very forthrightly on children's issues and underlining the crisis and the responsibility of all of us to respond appropriately. We thank you for your company on Issues and Answers. Until next week, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
Want some water, Virginia, please?
Water gone. But me need water for cook. So how me go wash?
Let's weather the drought. Start conservation measures today. Check for leaks around your house. Opt for shorter showers over long baths. Reuse water to water plants and lawn. Watch the amount of water you and your family use. Try cooking methods that don't require much water. And if you have a vehicle, avoid washing it regularly. Remember, water is as important as the air we breathe. So conserve our water, conserve our life.
In the case of a fire at your home, should you A, stop to get your pet, B, evacuate immediately and call the fire brigade from a neighbor's phone, or C, stop to call the fire brigade? The answer is B, evacuate immediately and call the fire brigade from a neighbor's phone. Many students know the answer to the question simply because a fire prevention officer went to their school and gave them the drill.
When your clothes is on fire, you do not run. So you stop where you are, you fall to the ground, and you roll.
Public education is a key component in fire prevention. It is a proactive method of reducing emergencies and the damage caused by them by ensuring that the public is fully aware of what to do in case of an emergency.
We recognize that fires start most of the time because people don't know about fires. People don't know what it takes to make a fire. People don't know what it takes to get rid of a fire. Without educating a person about the dangers of fire, then they would be totally lost, and we will continue to have devastating fires destroying life and property.
Look around for me. Make sure that everybody in the class is here.
I think you should give yourselves a clap. Right. That's how we want you to operate when there is a fire, all right?
Fire prevention officers go into communities, businesses, schools, churches, wherever they are granted access, and educate the public on fire safety practices. And through programs like Safety Monitor and Training, persons are taught to educate others about appropriate fire safety behavior.
We go into communities, we train what we call community safety wardens or fire wardens. So they would now look at the mispractices. We go into businesses, organize the staff, and we train persons to train the people in the workplace. They are also trained to a point where they can check for hazards to ensure that all the fire hazards that are visible can be reduced.
If it is that you require of us or you ask of us to come into your home and show you what inside there can actually start a fire and how you can prevent that fire, we actually do that. And we promote as well what we call the good neighbor policy. So you ensure that your neighbor is not doing anything that will put your life in jeopardy from a fire, and you do the same as well for your neighbors.
What happens?
Fire prevention does not stop at public education. There is also engineering and enforcement. You could call it the triple E effect. Engineering and enforcement go hand in hand. It's at this stage that the Fire Prevention Division review building plans, inspect buildings, and assess for compliance.
We encourage you to come into us, submit your building plan. We are able to look at it to see how you are going to occupy the building, and then we would be able to recommend the type of devices that you would use to better protect your property and the lives that will occupy that building.
Fire prevention officers should be contacted to conduct fire safety inspection as soon as new buildings are erected or existing buildings are being renovated. There is no cost attached.
So you would write us a letter, and you can send it in to us by email. When we get that letter, we set a date with you. We come into your building and we look at everywhere. All of the occupied space, whether doors are locked off, technical room. We start from the roof all the way down to basement level if there's a basement, and we note everything in terms of what you have in the building, what you need to do, and then we would go back, make recommendations. So once you implement those recommendations, then you know that you are on the right track to have a safe building, a fire-safe building to occupy.
Once the inspection is complete and your building meets the required standard, you will receive a building occupancy certificate, also known as a fire certificate. The Fire Prevention Division also sees to the retrofitting of fire hydrants.
In 2007, we did a survey. That survey was a bit dismal, to be honest. It showed that we had just about 30% of all fire hydrants across the island working. We hired 2 teams of hydrant maintenance persons, and we placed one in the western section of the island and one in Kingston. In 2012, 5 years after, we did another survey, and that survey is showing us that we now have over 70% of the fire hydrants working. So that is really saying to us that the team that we have employed is actually going out there and doing the job that is required of them.
The fire brigade is on the job to ensure that you are safe in the event of a fire, but they can't go it alone. Your help is needed.
Don't cook and leave it unattended. Don't overload circuits. Don't introduce a whole lot of electrical equipment on systems that are not designed for that heavy load. Don't allow children that are not of the age of 12 and untaught to be fooling around with fire in general, and pretty much ensure that you have a plan in your home, in the building that you occupy. Ensure that the right equipment is there. Our message to the public is prevent, prevent, prevent.
Once a fire starts, you need to call us. It is better for us to get on the scene and realize that you have already dealt with it than for us to get on the scene late. Because nobody likes a situation like that when we get there late and there's nothing much that we can actually do.
For more information on the Jamaica Fire Brigade, visit their website, www.jfb.gov.jm, or call 922-2523 or 922-0007.
'Too many of our children are going missing. Mothers, fathers, please be vigilant. Get to know your children's friends and where they hang out. Tell them never to walk alone, and take them to school if you can. Most importantly, let them feel your love all the time. And as you trot along, do the same for your neighbor's child. Our youths are much too precious to lose sight of.
Report cases of child abuse, or to report a missing child, go to the nearest police station or call 119.
Parents, make sure the children get immunized. Hear this! Immunization, it is a must. This is not a joke thing, this you can trust. It is required by law for entry to nursery, to daycare and to schools. Listen up, it is necessary to prevent diseases such as the measles, the poliomyelitis, the lockjaw and the whooping cough. Immunize your kids, keep them healthy, keep them strong. Prevent deadly diseases such as mumps, rubella and diphtheria. Immunize your child today. Immunization, a key to good health.
A message from the Ministry of Health and PAHO.
Them city dancing, them city performance. No people say me life and one, but them no know say more time it look dormant. And them no see say on me belly me a crawl pond. Because me mama just call me with tears in her eyes. She never know me have a stage show tonight. Not even she see the fears in my eyes. But me just a want put on the show, cause they don't know. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. Only you know. Only you know, Jah. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords sits upon his throne and he rules us all. Look into the book of life and you will see that he rules us all. That he rules us all. In a the boiling sun, putting it on the string. Righteous music, for putting it on the beat, but nothing righteous for our life set. If you don't know a hard life, you don't know life yet. Cause me papa just call me poverty, make him a screw. Him never know, say me have a interview, but sure, we just a go and put on the show because they don't know. I say they don't know. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. Only you know. Only you know, Jah. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside.
We leave you with another piece of child-friendly advice. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Words of author Frederick Douglass. Parents, if you need help raising your children, there are several state agencies willing to help. For more information on these agencies, click on our website, jis.gov.jm. You may also follow us on Twitter at JIS News. Our YouTube channel, Watch JIS, has loads of videos and interviews. And please continue to send us your feedback. We love hearing from you. Send comments to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. We'll be back on your favorite TV station tomorrow. Until then, I'm Arroya Eubanks. On behalf of the hardworking team here at the JIS, have a wonderful Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.